PJ Bishop. Welcome to my channel and the ongoing series with the Oakland A's. As you can see, May has not been kind to us. We're sitting now 10 games below 500 at 22-32, and very similar to the season we were having last year with a lot of struggles. Guys are just offensively, we're anemic, as you can see here. That's our biggest drawback, is we just can't get much going on offense. Dead last in scoring. Batting average is still bottom third, but our on base plus slugging is dead last. Our on base is dead last. Home runs is second to last. So we're not a really good power output team. Trying to build a team that can have some power. It just takes a lot longer than I like. Stolen bases first. I forced that. Now our pitching looks much better, as you can see here. Runs against is middle of the pack, so we're not giving up that many runs. We're just not scoring any runs. So when we do win, it's very low scoring. I'm at the point now where if I give up 2 or 3 runs, I'm like, well, that's it. We lost. We can't win. The starters have been struggling. 12th highest ERA, but I lowered. I got rid of a pitcher that was kind of lowering that. So our starters, for the most part, are okay-ish, as you can see here. The bullpen I'm very proud of. I think I built the best bullpen in baseball right now, currently, or at least in the AL. The number 1 ERA, which is phenomenal. They have a 3.15. And, of course, it appears that my defense, my emphasis on defense is paying off. As you can see, if you take away the fielding, our ERA would be the last in the AL. So it does appear that me putting in defensive guys probably getting up some offense because of that. But at the same time, we're getting better on defense, and our ERA is lower. Eventually, the offense will catch up. We have guys in our minor leagues that they're really good, and it'll just take time for them to develop. As they develop and we bring them up, we should be better. It just takes time. We're rebuilding. It's a process. It takes a good while. It takes a good minute, as they like to say. Let's take a look at my transaction. So, first baseman, May 8th, first baseman Abraham Toro was released. It's just he was a so-so player with really not providing much, and we didn't necessarily need him. May 25th, I designated right-handed pitcher Trevor Gott was waived and designated for assignment. He was really struggling. I gave him an entire month down in the minors, and he was struggling. And then considering how good my bullpen is right now, it really made zero sense for me to send someone down and replace it with a guy that's struggling. So I waived him. So no one picked him up. So even though he's pretty decent ratings-wise. So that tells you something there as well. And then June 1st, again, not very many transactions until the very end of the month when I kind of try to make some changes. Oakland and Colorado have come to a trade agreement. Oakland sends 32-year-old pitcher, a right-handed pitcher, Trevor Gott, the guy I waived. 28-year-old right-handed pitcher, Adrian Martinez, who was struggling all year. Kind of picked up where he left off last year, struggling. And then 22-year-old minor leaguer right fielder Brayan Huelvas. I didn't really want to get rid of Brayan, but it's one of those things where he plays a position that he'll probably never see the field in, because I have so many guys that are playing that position as well who are just better. He's a right fielder, but I have J.J. Blade, who's still pretty good at righty, but I also have Denzel Clark, who I end up sending back down to AAA. I also have Lawrence Butler, who I believe, called up. So he's kind of one of those guys where you can send him off, kind of trim some of your prospects. And we traded him in exchange for 33-year-old left-handed pitcher Yusei Kikuchi. Kikuchi, huh? All right. And that's this guy right here. Currently 1-4 with a 4.47 ERA. Nothing special about him. He's got above average stuff, average movement, below average, above average control. He's got a good pitch mix. His fastball slider are nearly plus plus, above average changeup, and a average cutter. So the pitch mix is there. I like that he has high stamina. I think the fact that he works hard and is loyal is good, and has low financial ambition. So he's a free agent this year. If he's playing well, I would like to re-sign him, even though he's up there in years. But if he provides solid pitching for us, because we're trying to solidify my rotation, it's been difficult. So last year for Colorado and Toronto, he actually did pretty darn well. A sub-4 ERA. The year before, a sub-4 ERA. This year he's struggling a little bit in that department. Maybe with our fielding, we could see that drop a little more. So we'll find out. He had a good game against us. Which is funny. His last game was against us in a 3-1 win. Had a quality start, allowed just 2 hits and 1 earned run. Walked 1 and struck out 4. So that's funny that it was in fact against me. Now he's pitching for me. So 5 days ago it was against us. 5 days later he's our starter. Hopefully he can help us solidify the rotation, because it doesn't look terrible. J.P. Sears looks like he's settling in for quite an average looking. Did he have a? Oh yeah, he had some good. He had a good run for a little while here. Well, I guess define good run. He was going deep. 8 innings here, 7.26. He has been steadily declining over the past. Another reason why we kind of went on a losing streak. Colin Wiles has surprisingly done very well for us with a 3.7 ERA. He was a little worse in the beginning, but he looks like he's settling in. Had a really good game against Houston. 7.1 innings. Allowed just 5 hits, 1 earned run. Doesn't strike out a ton of guys. Actually, when he strikes out a ton of guys, he actually gives up more earned runs. As you can see, he's got his ERA now sub-4. It's still early on. That could change. But it's nice to see that this trade could be paying off already. And he's able to go deep into games too, even though he's got several games where he's sub 6 innings. But on occasion he'll give me that something like this, 7.1, an easy 6. I'm hoping he finds his way and he can go a little deeper, because guys like this really do help the bullpen, especially if it's a long stretch of games with no off day. If he can eat up 6 to 7 innings and have a lead or something like that, it really helps the bullpen. Kyle Muller has been struggling. As you can see, his ERA is now inflated up to 5.47. He went from just 5 starts ago, a pretty respectable 4 ERA to a 5.47 now. It's just the starts. Look at him. 4 earned runs, 5, 3, 5, and 3. No less than 3 earned runs in every game he's pitched in, with a couple of them less than 5 innings. So not even going deep. So again, puts a lot of stress on the bullpen when you have outings like that. And of course, UC we just acquired, and Freddie Tarnok, another piece that we were missing from last year due to injury, is doing quite well so far. A really impressive ERA of 3. He's kind of sustained it on and off in this. He had a rough start a couple starts ago against Houston. It was a good team. It's a respectable, good team. But other than that, he looks like he's really doing well for us. I'm happy he's finally healthy, because you can see here in 2023, that's less than 50 innings. 2024, a grand total of 2 innings. And he's already got 53 innings this year. My only concern is he might get tired, and his arm might start getting fatigued, and we may see him fall off toward the end of the year. But if he doesn't, he can continue this stretch. I'll be very happy because if these 5 guys could finally settle in and play well, pitch well, I think my rotation could at least be set for the year. Because the bullpen looks fantastic. I mean, Mason Miller, he did finally give up some runs, but he's got 11 saves, 22 innings. He's got an impressive 1.23 ERA. Fernando Cruz, who we got in the last year for a trade, he's got an outstanding ERA of 1.47. Then our middle relievers are all fairly respectable. Jerson Marino, the guy who I just called up not that long ago, 2.92 ERA, so he's continuing what he did last year, where he had a 3.6. He's actually improved upon that so far. I mean, it's extremely early, but he has improved. And this is from a guy that's 35 overall. So I'm doing this. I have the number 1 bullpen. This is why I'm so proud of myself. I have one guy that's above average, one guy that's average. The rest are below average and well below average. So I got the number 1 bullpen with pitchers that are just kind of a patchwork guy. I mean, and no one's getting paid. That's the minimum. That's the minimum. That's still the minimum. That's the minimum. I think they're all on minimum. Let's see if they're all on minimum. Michael Kelly is minimum. Luis Medina is minimum. So all my pitchers are on minimum contracts. So I got the number 1 bullpen with everyone on a minimum contract. So you don't have to spend tons of money to get a bullpen. You can just build up through your own system, have guys that are good at certain things, and put them in a position to succeed. But as you can see, they're good. Their stuff is good. Their stuff plays. The movement is all fairly, is average or above average. The control is the only issue, which is why they're low ERA or low overalls. But if you look at their stuff, they're able to handle against righties and lefties, and it's not like we have just this terrible, terrible team. Joe Boyle, again, another fantastic looking season. He's got an ERA of 2.33. Stevie Emanuel's 3.38. Luis Medina 3.51. These are all guys, young guys. Of course, Stevie and Luis, they got a chance last year when we were called up in September to see if they could do something, and now they are. Now they are part of the best bullpen in the AL and possibly baseball. Speaking of that, I just want to take a look at. So my payroll this year is $35 million, and do you know why that's funny to me? My entire player payroll is $35 million. Can I see something? I'm trying to figure out. I believe you signed Juan Soto. You did. My payroll is less than Juan Soto's contract. That's crazy. My entire team is less than Juan Soto's contract. That is absolutely insane. And they're 26 and 27. They're not doing much better. They're still losing. They're 7.5 games out of first place in their division. And what about wildcard wise? They're half a game out. We're 5 games out. So they're 4.5 games better than us, and they have an entire player who has more of a payroll than our whole team. I think it's I wonder what the lowest payroll in modern day baseball history is, because $35 million seems like an extremely low number. If I look at my salaries, my highest paid player is a guy just received in the trade, and a guy I signed this offseason. I believe he's arbitration. So yeah, look at that. They're all pretty much minimum. All under very friendly contracts. Anyway, let's go take a look at the lineup. Actually, we've got to continue with this. The other translation. So, first baseman Drew Luckbauer was optioned to AAA Las Vegas, and center fielder Denzel Clark was optioned to AAA Las Vegas. Both players were struggling. We're trying to fix this offense. So I ended up I actually had first baseman Tyler Soderstrom had his contract selected, and right fielder Lawrence Butler was recalled from AAA Las Vegas. Lawrence Butler was added to the 40-man, but I haven't had him play for me quite yet. So here's the lineup versus righties and lefties. as you can see, the new additions are Tyler Soderstrom, who's batting 7th versus righties. He's sitting versus lefties. And Lawrence Butler is batting 7th versus lefties and sitting versus righties. Let's take a look at Tyler that we called up. Now, Tyler, strictly at first base as far as if I want to maintain a good defense. But he's got that power potential. He's got plus power. He can still develop into an average bat-to-ball skill, average contact, and average avoid Ks. So he can still have a fairly decent average and still hit for power. Actually, looks like he's projected to have less of a I than he does avoid K, which is usually surprising with guys with his power. Typically, it's the other way around. If it was 50 I and 45 K, that would be respectable as well. But he's an intelligent young man, not so dangerous on the base pass. So he really is truly a power guy, and he's a good first baseman. He has the perfect first base profile. He's a power guy. He's a fairly big dude, 6'2". He's a lefty, which is what you like at first base. They get that extra little reach. I don't know if Out of the Park actually evaluates it like that, where they do get that extra little reach. But in actual life, you do want a left-handed first baseman if you can. Because again, you get that extra reach. We've seen plenty of close plays. I mean, I don't know if you guys watch baseball. I assume most of you watch baseball, where it's a bang-bang play. And if you're left-handed, you get that little extra reach. You're also taller. That's why you want the bigger guys. You want guys 6'4", 6'5". They have a better reach. So that ball is they're going to reach the ball fast or slightly faster as they're already closer to it. That's my theory on why you want tall, left-handed first baseman. And you also want them with power. He projects for power. He was doing very well at AAA. Last year he was solely at AA. It took him all year to kind of find himself. He still had 36 home runs last year. He had 12 homers already this year in 50 games. So he was on pace for another pretty solid year of smashing home runs. I'm hoping he can continue that up here at the major league level, because it seems like everywhere he goes, he hits a ton of home runs. And we need that. Our power is lacking. We don't have a big power output. So adding a guy like him to our lineup should make it a little more dangerous. And if he plays well against righties and can show up against lefties as well, we maybe find ourselves the future first baseman. And he's, again, a young man, 23 years old, but everything says like, his history, his back-to-back seasons now in the minors, doing well. Again, of course, that's the minors. It doesn't translate necessarily to the majors. But yeah, last year, good-looking year at AA and starting off strong at AAA. If you look at his history, he was a 26 overall pick in the first round back in 2020. He's been an all-star for the Texas League. He was last year's Texas League all-star selection. So he's a good player. He probably would have been headed to an all-star this year. And then Lawrence Butler, who's going to be right fielder versus lefties and batting 7th. Similar profile. Again, another power guy. A big guy, too. 6'4", another left-handed bat. Although he's got better skill set on the base pass, which I really love. I love the power-speed combo. And he's an excellent defender at right. He can also play left. He's a fringy center fielder. But he's still capable of doing it. But he was actually crushing at the minor league. I'm going to keep him out of. He's had a sore elbow now since I guess April 6th. I don't know. I'm going to keep him out for a while, just so he can get healthy. I like to get him healthy. I don't want to risk him getting an injury because he's a pretty big potential bat. He's got projected to have above average power, and everything else is slightly, average contact, average avoid Ks, above average I. So looks like he could be a solid hit for a good at decent average, good to decent average. Can steal bases at a pretty good clip, above average speed, with really excellent stealing ability. and a really good defender out in right field. He can play left as well. And of course, center field is last resort. And last year, Double A, similar to Tyler, it took him all season to kind of catch fire or do what he needed to do. He had 17 homers for 29 stolen bases, so 3 homers shy of a 2020. But he's already got 12 homers this year. So again, his power was coming in. He was playing really well, and 7 stolen bases. So exciting to get some power, 2 power bats in the lineup. This one's a power and speed. So hopefully things can start turning a little bit better for us. Did it say what country he was from? Oh, okay. Another Atlanta, Georgia guy. Because I have Michael Harris. I like Michael Harris. Now, Carson Kelly, of course, he's cooled off a ton. As you can see here, his OPS is 825. He's also not catching versus lefties. So it turns out he's struggling versus lefties, playing really well versus righties. That's why it kind of evens out at 825. So he's actually still crushing it versus righties. He's just having a problem against lefties. But still, with his defense and his good play against righties, and I don't mind having them righty-lefty off. Perhaps now they can stick in the lineup longer since they won't be as tired, although he's already tired. But yeah, he's doing really well. I think it was an excellent free agent signing. I wish the defense didn't take such a tremendous drop off as it did, but I can still live with that. Now, Dario Hernandez, he's been a one of our better players since being called up. He's batting over 300. He's got an average, OPS as far as that's concerned, roughly an average, a little better than average maybe. But again, he's capable of playing second and left, which makes him valuable because I'm constantly switching him back and forth between the two, depending which lineup he's in or who I got to put in. Not a power guy, but he doesn't need to be a power guy. He does what he does. He hits 300, and he's on pace to steal 60 bases. He hasn't been caught yet. He's really remarkable at stealing base. I'm surprised he's one of my better base stealers, despite not having as good as ratings as some other guys. He's up to 20 right now, hasn't been caught, on pace for 60, batting over 300. He's really phenomenal. He plays good defense, above average defense at 2 positions once he fully develops the left field. So it's really, can't complain for a guy that I wasn't expecting too much. Because he did start off at Double A last year, made it up to Triple A. He was playing, so he only spent 14 games at AAA before I was like, you know what, you're good enough to come make an impact. Did struggle last year, as you can see. 550 was the OPS, batting 237, but this year he's turned it on. He's playing much better, and I feel a little more comfortable now that it's up to 50 games, that perhaps this is what we can actually get out of him moving forward. Seth Brown, nice and steady. 11 home runs already, by the way. He's got 11 home runs currently, on pace for 33 and 18 stolen bases. Hopefully, if he can steal a little more bases, we can get him up to a 30-20 season. But I think, he had a big game here against Kansas City. 3 homers, still lost. A 3-homer game that we still lost. But his power is showing up. So really happy that he's playing well. Last year, 17 home runs. This year, 11. He's on pace to crush that. And he's also, I think, playing in more games, as he's tend to be coming in as an everyday, because he's pretty versatile. He can play left, right, and on occasion, I think I've had him at first. Of course, DH. He's a good DH. One of our few veterans at 32 years old. Mauricio Dubon has slowed down a bit, as you can see here. His average is now below 300. I'm hoping he's been on kind of a cold streak lately, hoping that turns around. Same thing with Nick Ahmed. Nothing exciting once you get down here. Hopefully, with a rejuvenated lineup, we can see some better results in the upcoming month of June. But it is exciting because now, in about, I think, June 9th, the Dominican Summer League starts up. So we'll have all of our organizations playing. And I like it when my entire organization is playing baseball. Just because we're slowly but surely, I think, improving the team. It's just going to take a while. It's a rebuilding process. I'm trying to keep it realistic when it comes to signing players. I'm also, the house rule for myself is I'm not signing anybody for over $10 million if I can help it. I'm trying to do it with a low budget. Same way that Oakland doesn't really. Oakland's not signing guys for 15, 20, $32 million. They're signing guys for good deals. They're trying to just get by. My goal is to build up through the system and take advantage of my guys' young contracts. And once they get a little too expensive, of course, we trade them off for prospects, and we kind of keep recycling and hoping we can win some World Series with the guys that we brought in. And that's kind of the goal there. Will it work? I don't know, but it's a long process, especially with a team as bad as Oakland was. It's going to take a while to get there, especially with the way I'm doing it. I don't cheese the AI in trades. I don't like to do that either. So I'm trying to do it as legitimate as possible. So that's it for this video. We'll see you at the end of June.